Great teams do great things. Welcome to This Week Health staff meeting, where we look at insights from industry leaders designed to get the conversation started. Hopefully you've had a chance to be a part of a great team at some point in your life. For some of us, it's a sports team, and for others, it's an organization or even a community group of some kind. There are teams you never forget being a part of. The whole group is elevated to new levels. I think the ultimate story of that in my lifetime was the 1980 Olympic hockey team, which is captured in the movie Miracle. And it's a reference to the great call by the announcer Al Michaels. If you haven't seen it, rent it tonight and watch it with the family. It's a great watch. I was able to sit down with an Olympic champion. Ried Priddy was number 8 on the national men's Olympic volleyball team for 16 years and part of 2 medal teams, including gold in Beijing. I went out onto the sand with him and we talked about the dynamics of building a team that can win a gold medal. This clip is following back-to-back devastating losses in Greece, which kept the team from the medal. And this is where they begin the road to Beijing with a new coach. Have a listen and consider the following questions. Number 1, what is the best team culture that you have personally experienced? And the second question is, does your team currently have clarity around their mission? Formative event. Take us to, that's Athens. Now we're going to
Beijing, and this transition. So I don't think my development was in a vacuum. I think that our whole team was sort of going through this sort of process. And right at that time, we had a new head coach come in, and the very first thing that he had us do was sit down in a room in Anaheim at a hotel, the Hilton down there, for 2 days and talk about our feelings and talk about our goals and articulate them with words and actually put them on a piece of paper. And at the time, we were just like, Hugh, what do you mean? Like, we want to go get sweaty and like duke this out, and like, we've got a job to do. We got to go, get better and compete and scream at each other. But thankfully, he had a thick enough skin to sort of endure all the darts that we were throwing his way. And out of those 2 days, we articulated, he took us through this process without us even recognizing the impact that these 2 days would have. Yeah. He took us through this process to articulate a very clear objective with a how, this is how we're going to do it. And what was interesting about that day is that became the marching orders. And so every single day, we would start our day at the whiteboard and we would finish it at the whiteboard. And there would always be up in the upper right corner something that referenced our ultimate goal, which was to win the Olympic Games in Beijing. And mind you, I do want to say that at this moment in time, if anybody else in the world of volleyball had seen the U.S. men's team articulate it this way, they would have laughed at us. We had no right, in a sense, to think that this was possible. We weren't trending. Nobody was talking about us like, oh, USA, they're going to be the next, like, look out for them. Like, that wasn't what was happening. But what it did was it set our culture in motion, of a culture of learning, a culture of purpose and mission. And on we went through that quad, and we really became, a lot of the language of our coaching staff was, we're here to be masters of our craft. We're here in process. And so all of this language that was not, hey, we're here to be undefeated, we're here to win every game. Right. It's like, we're here to learn and keep doing this thing together. But our ultimate goal, yes, is to win something. But the way we do that is we learn along the way.
Yeah, and I love that story. I actually shared that because you shared that story in the session that I went to, Max Potential, and we were, and the next morning I shared it with one of the CIOs that I'm coaching. And he goes, you have to send me that mission statement. And the mission statement's out there on the internet. We'll share it with the show as well. And it was interesting to me. It did say, to win, but it talked a lot about process. Talked a lot about becoming students and learning the game and getting better and the team aspect. I mean, it was all wrapped. It was a beautiful statement.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing that really stuck out at me was when you said, and every day after practice we would come back in and say, have we taken a step towards this, or have we taken a step away? And the thing I loved was you said, I've been on a lot of teams where we have a throwaway practice a week kind of thing.
Right.
He goes, and you essentially said, over those years, it was maybe 2 throwaway practices for the entire duration.
Yeah. I mean, goosebumps as you're saying that, because it was special. And it's really true. Like, great teams would have a throwaway practice, where it's just kind of like, we got sweaty. Everybody was here with the right, intention to get something done. But for whatever reason, we just didn't get it done. But that particular group, there was like 2 days that were throwaway days in an entire quad, which is so hard to do. And so there was a serious commitment by everybody to basically leverage their whole selves. And there's lots of stories that I could talk about of moments where players had to say no to themselves and yes to the we, to the collective.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. And in the end, I mean, that particular team suffered some really catastrophic circumstances with our coach's family in the first week. He had married Elizabeth Bachman, and Wiz, we call her, and her family were walking in Tiananmen Square, and they were attacked. Her father was killed, and her mother was stabbed repeatedly, and it was just horrible. And so we had to sort of be without our leader for the entire preliminary rounds, and then he rejoined us in the medal rounds. And he'll be the first to tell you that we didn't win because of that, in spite of it. We had trained in such a way to, and the culture was so tight that it sort of was able to endure that sort of